Hey, I want to welcome you to Chiropractic Deep Dive, sponsored by Five Star Management. And today we have a guest. His name is Nick Fischer. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So I was intrigued when you said that we can talk about AI and how to grow a chiropractic practice with AI. And my son is a product manager for an internet startup, was telling me about AI, and he says, Dad, it's better than you think it is, and it's just changing things immensely. And now I'm an older guy, and lots of chiropractors, successful chiropractors, know a little bit about AI, but we're going to dive deep into it today, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, AI is upcoming and very popular topic, so I think this will be great.
So before we do that, though, I want to know a little bit about you. So where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, I'm from the great state of Michigan,
Mhm.
the cold north. I went to school out there at Grand Valley State University, graduated with a marketing degree back in the day. So I since moved south, had to get out of the cold weather. The snow was not for me. So now I live in a nice small beach town, and it's been great.
So how in the world did you get mixed up with chiropractors?
Yeah, so being in the marketing space since really college, I've worked in a lot of different industries. I started connecting with some local chiropractors and did some digital stuff for them and ended up connecting with a few different of the chiropractic consulting organizations and started
Mhm.
doing some work in there. And it went really well. We saw really good success in some of the things that we were doing. And it just started snowballing into this thing where everybody was referring people in. And we built out this really robust system to help offices that are struggling in the digital space. Now that's all we do. We just focus on the local chiropractic offices and getting them the results that they need in the digital space. So it's been awesome.
What have you learned about the chiropractic profession and chiropractors in general as a result of working with them for how many years now?
So chiropractic space, we've been in since 2019. So what's that, 6 years now, just before COVID
Mm,
hit, really?
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, in the digital space, there's a lot of nuances that happen in a lot of different channels. What I've learned the most is that chiropractors are busy. Like they're running their practice, they're focused on their patients and managing their team and the office and all the things. And a lot of times, all the nuances that are happening online and all the latest and greatest things that you should be doing are kind of getting put on the back burner. And
Yeah.
what that is doing is preventing people from growing at the rate that they want to, getting the exposure they want to, and attracting the patients in their local areas. Our goal and our program is really designed to help mitigate that problem and getting it off of their plate. Chiropractors are really good at being the doctor, being the authority figure on the body. In chiropractic school, they don't really teach you how to build websites and how to write blog articles and how to run your social channels and all the things. So a lot of times there's a little bit of a necessary to have some support there. And that's kind of where we step in typically.
And what's your company name again?
So our company's ChiroBasics. So we focus, we're just a full service digital marketing agency that works with chiropractors.
Great, great. Now, we were talking about topics, and one of the topics that you offered was how to use AI. My experience with AI is that there's this magic box that you throw things in. And I use Chat GPT and I ask it questions and I kind of laugh a little bit at the response from Chat GPT that says, that's a really, really good question. I mean, it's complimentary. It's like it's working me a little bit, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, within seconds, these great answers come out. So, can you tell me, and maybe not too technically, but how does all of this AI stuff work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's interesting how it's progressed over time, but essentially, AI is a new technology that allows the software to understand and problem solve like a human does.
Yes.
So historically, computers and how software works was basically a bunch of code that was written with a bunch of if then statements. If you click your mouse here, this will happen. If you type this on your keyboard, then this will happen. And pretty much every output from your computer required a specific type of input. And it was very cut and dry. And that's what our entire existence of computers has been. With AI, now AI can actually problem solve and use critical thinking and create these outputs without needing those rigid pre-written instructions. The benefit of that is now we can type a simple prompt, a simple request in human language, and it can go through a series of critical thinking tasks to come up with really solid answers. So it's really expedited our use and how we can use computers and the internet and software and drastically speed things up for people who may not have a lot of coding background. It's a pretty awesome tool, and it's becoming more and more advanced every single day.
So I talk to people all the time about different things, including AI. And one of the responses I get is that, well, that's way, way too advanced for me, and that's computer geek stuff. But it sounds to me, and my own personal experience is that if you're a chiropractor, you could learn to use it without too much of a challenge. Am I right?
Definitely. There's super advanced ways that you can use AI tools for the more technically trained individuals, but a lot of the AI tools that are starting to roll out are very commercial ready. They're ready for the average user who doesn't really have a big technical background that can plug and play a lot of these tools right into their practice. So it's pretty awesome that someone who doesn't have a huge technical background can come in and use this level of technology.
I'm really interested to hear how your clients are using AI to grow their practice and what would be the applications.
Yeah, so I think the first, probably the easiest task that people are adopting with AI is starting with content creation. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of AI tools that make content creation super simple and streamlined. Historically, if you wanted to write an educational article, you have to sit down and manually type out what you'd want it to say. And you got to have good formatting, you got to have good keywords for Google, you got to use layman terms that patients can understand. It was very time consuming. Same thing with like editing a video or creating an email campaign or a social media post, or there's tons of different types of content that can be created. And historically, it's very time consuming to create that content. And with AI, now you can use AI to create lots and lots of really great content with very minimal time input. So you're being able to get a lot more patient education out there, do a lot more marketing and advertising, new campaign styles with an expedited timeline. Some other ways that you could use AI would be like automating tasks. So taking it a step further, once you've kind of mastered or got a good feel about creating content, now you can actually have it do something for you. So an example of that might be doing like lead follow-ups. When leads come in, it can automatically read the input from that lead and then create responses and respond to those leads for you. It could do appointment booking. If you have it connected to a calendar system, it can book people right for you, right on your calendar. There's even AI tools that will take phone calls for you. So if you're after hours or not in the office on a certain day and your team's busy, wrapped up doing something else, it can take phone calls. There's voice AI systems now. So now what you're seeing is if you have the technology doing physical tasks that normally a human would take, it's freeing up your time. It's freeing up your time, your team's time. Typically, you get pretty great outputs from that.
So let me ask you a question. When you talk about being able to take calls, the phone rings, AI answers the phone, and there's
Correct.
this replicated human voice that has a conversation with the prospect.
That's right. So the AI systems have gotten good, so good that now you can create voice AI systems, train it on your practice's information, your hours of operations, the insurance, your fees, et cetera. And literally it will have a conversation with you over the phone and it sounds like a real human. It's pretty wild, actually. And you can do voice cloning where you can clone it to sound like your front desk person or yourself, or come up with your own AI avatar voice that you can use. It's pretty cool.
I think that sounds wonderful. Now, you mentioned about content, creating content. Let's say I want to write an article, a short one, like 200 words. What would I do with that article after I created it? Let's say that I create some content. What am I going to do with that? How do I use that in order to reach out into the community, in order to touch patients, to educate people?
Yeah, that's a great question. From a marketing perspective, we focus heavily on patient education. Your most well-informed patients are typically your best patients. They're the ones that keep coming back. They're the ones most committed to the care plan. So really, from a content perspective, we like to help generate a lot of educational content and then distributing that through several online channels. Every individual user uses the internet differently. Some people like to be on social, some people are on Google, some people are on YouTube, or a lot of times it's some combination of those. They're in their email inbox. There's lots of different ways people consume content. So our philosophy is really, we want to create omnipresence. We want to have this content facilitated across as many channels as we can. So that way, regardless of where that individual patient happens to be engaging with content, you have a strong presence there. If they're looking on Google Maps, you're showing up there. They can read your content there. If they're scrolling Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you're showing up there. If they're, Googling how stretches to get rid of my neck pain, you're showing up there. The more places that you can distribute that content, the better. So, there's typically three types of content. There's going to be written content. So that could be little descriptions on a blog or a social media post. That could be longer form blog articles. It could be any number of written things that you would see on the internet. But there's written content. And then you have video content. So recorded videos. Sometimes it's a mixture of you talking to the camera with doing patient education. It could be little clip montages of you doing treatments with patients. Video content is super powerful. And then you have audio content, and that's podcasts, like what we're doing here. And, write scripts and stuff using the AI tools. You can use the AI voice cloning to have the AI do the podcast for you. Lots of cool things and applicable ways to use AI tools to create content and then distribute that content across as many channels as you can.
So let me ask you about video. Let's say that the doctor isn't a video editor. Are there AI programs, if the doctor came up with a video, that AI would be able to help him edit and prepare it for the internet?
Yes, absolutely. So we actually use one within our team too. The one that I would probably recommend is Descript. It's a tool that helps with video editing and podcast editing, but it has a bunch of AI stuff built into it that makes it super easy. It chops out dead space, removes filler words, has automated edited templates where it'll put you in the right portrait mode. It'll track you on camera. It does all sorts of cool things, automated captions. Really streamlines that process where you don't have to be a professional video editor. It does a lot of the work for you.
So you've got a doctor who reaches out to you and says, I know how to use an iPhone. I've got some young 20s that work for me that are a little bit more tech savvy than I am. What might be a first step that you would recommend for that person for AI, and maybe a project that they could get under their belt so they could say, hey, I could do this stuff? So that's the guy who's reaching out. What would you have him do?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to get yourself into AI is starting with ChatGPT. That was the big one that went viral when it first got released, and a lot of people are more familiar with it. And the reason why I say that is because it's really easy to use. Chat interface that's basically like texting. So you can text back and forth with it essentially and start asking it questions and having it help you generate some written content. Some examples of written content that I would start with are maybe some blog articles. Write a couple educational articles, pick a symptom or a condition that you like to focus on, and write some education around that using ChatGPT. That's probably the easiest way to kind of get started. Is that specific tool. They offer free accounts. I think the professional grade is only $20 a month if you wanted to get some of the more advanced tools inside there. So yeah, definitely that would be a good way to start leaning into some of the AI technology.
Well, I was teaching a seminar in Davenport, Iowa, a year ago, November, almost 2 years ago. ChatGPT was brand new to me. And we had a workshop that we were doing on writing an ad for an associate. Each table was working on writing that ad. And one table over here, they were laughing and having a good time. And I said, "So what's so much fun over there?" And they said, "Well, we took these points and we just asked a couple questions and we loaded into Chat GPT. And what it gave was just amazing." I said, "Well, read it for the group." I think there were about 70 docs in the room, and everybody thought it was just incredible. It was to the point. It was, I mean, it was really, really fun. That was my initial introduction. So now you mentioned Chat GPT. Are there some other tools? You also mentioned a video like Descript.
Yeah.
So my philosophy with training anybody for anything is give them the basic stuff, give them projects that they can actually get completed so that they can get some success behind them, and then build on that success. So your recommendation might be ChatGPT, and maybe for some video program that you called the script. Am I correct on that?
Yep. So Chat GPT is good for written based content, maybe generating scripts if you wanted to help creating scripts for any videos or podcasts. Jasper is another writing tool that is AI based. Descript is a great one for video editing. We use that one all the time. Had a lot of great AI tools built into it to make it super streamlined. Canva is a really popular design tool that has introduced a bunch of AI stuff in there, which makes designing your custom visual content, banners, posters, flyers, whatever, super easy and all AI driven. We actually have a CRM system called Engage. We provide that to our clients that has a lot of that virtual, we call it the virtual CA, which is like lead follow up and the voice AI stuff. And those type of tools would be inside of a CRM system. There's lots of different options out there. Ours that we use is called Engage, and it works really well. So those would be like probably some applicable tools that chiropractors could probably get started with pretty quickly to kind of get their feet wet. I think Chat GPT is probably the easiest to get started.
Now you're the marketing expert. And so they get in contact with your content and then they reach out to you. I was told that the speed with which you get back to a prospective new patient is super important. And I'm putting two and two together here and thinking that your program called Engage would shorten the time between them reaching out and you reaching back. Am I right on that? First of all, is the time thing that critical? And number two, if so, how does that work?
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a lot of statistics out there and studies that have been done that talk about when someone inquiries about getting care or coming into the office, how quickly you respond to that individual can drastically increase or change the conversion rate. If that lead comes in and you take 24 hours to get back to them, that person probably moved on. They probably went
Mhm.
to the next office. You probably lost them. If you can respond really quickly, ideally right away, you're going to have a much higher likelihood that you're going to retain their attention. They're going to see you as obviously you take care of their patients because you're responding right away to the inquiry and you have their attention because it was on their mind at that moment. So yeah, using a tool like Engage or any of the other like automated responding AI tools can drastically increase the how quick you can respond to people because it's immediate. Lead comes in and a text goes out right away, or a phone call or an email or maybe all three. And being able to do that again allows you to drastically increase your conversion rates for sure.
So I want to make sure that I understand. So somebody responds, they click the button or they click the link, and that signal comes back to my office or to my computer or to my AI or to my agent. What happens in AI on my side? Does their phone ring or do they get an email back or do they get a text back or what does that actually look like?
So most of the offices that we work with are typically having it do messaging. So texting back and forth. Typically
Mhm.
that gets the best response rates. So inquiry comes in through the website or social media ads, and the AI tool reads that incoming inquiry, reads the message that came in, formulates a response, and automatically fires that text message back to them, usually within seconds. So instead
Uh,
of it being you having to check your email every couple hours to see if you have any new leads, you've got the AI tool that's just doing it automatically. So you and your team can focus on what's happening in the office that day, and your AI tool's handling your incoming leads.
so, I've been teaching chiropractic marketing for my clients in five-star management for decades. And I was always teaching people that if you have a busy line, for instance, somebody calls in, they saw your ad someplace, or they've got your phone number, and they found a busy signal because you didn't have enough phone lines, they would be on to the next person on the list. If you were ABC Chiropractic, they were going to be calling the next person because when they wanted something, they needed it right away. And so being able to have that AI response sounds great. Now, can you give me a couple of examples, maybe from clients that you've helped, some of the things that they have implemented that have made big changes for them?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have several clients that use the virtual CA system that's automatically doing that lead follow up for them, handling inbound phone calls when their blinds are busy or whatever, to really increase that. It's called speed to lead, the speed of which you get back to the incoming leads. Some other applicable examples might be doing automated review responses. So when reviews come in for your practice on Google, it's really important to have a response that goes back out and published for that. Helps with your SEO and your rankings and patient engagement and all those things. You're gonna have AI do that. So you don't have to do that manually anymore. It'll read the review, formulate a response, publish it automatically. Um, we obviously have the voice AI system that comes in. We do also have lots of clients that like to use the missed call text back. So let's say that inbound phone call comes in. Maybe you're not using the voice AI system yet, but you missed that phone call. You can have the system automatically fire out a text message. Hey, sorry we missed your call. We'd love to help. What can we help with you today? And again, that is designed to prevent what you stated is if people call in and you miss that call, it's likely they're going to the next one on the list. But if they receive a text message back right away from that missed call, they know that you're there to help them. So instead of going to the next one on the list, now they're replying to you via text message. So, some different applicable ways to use those type of systems to really help expedite office operations, that patient experience with your office and stuff like that.
Now, do you have any, for instance, one of the things that we cover in a Thursday Zoom that we do with clients is we'll pick a problem and then we'll talk about common mistakes. So, somebody starting with AI, what are some of the common mistakes that they might make that would slow them down or hurt their program?
Yeah. So when it comes to using these AI tools, sometimes you have to check the work. Try to avoid copying and pasting content blindly. Definitely read through it. I mean, there's kind of been, yeah, there's kind of been some feedback for the tools is that sometimes if it doesn't know something, it'll try to make something up. And the
Right.
last thing that you want to do is accidentally put something out there that might not be true. So,
Sure.
especially in the medical field, you want to be accurate with your information. So, yes, it'll do great for creating bulk content, but you also want to make sure that you're fact checking and reading through to make sure things are up to par with the standards that you have for your office. So, definitely check the work. Start small. I mean, you don't necessarily have to jump right into all the big AI tools. I mentioned like the AI assistant and stuff like that. That's a little bit more advanced. Maybe you want to start with something smaller and lean into it as you get comfortable with the tools. Make sure that you check for the tone of voice that is being used. You can give it certain prompts to make sure that it's written in a way that represents your office well and your aesthetic and your brand, that whole voice. So yeah, stuff like
Now,
that.
when you say voice, my wife is an author,
Oh, okay.
and we were talking about AI writing some stuff for her, and there was a big conversation about her voice, not
Yeah.
the tone and the way that she speaks. So when you talk about voice, are you actually talking about the voice? what people actually hear, or are you talking about tone?
So both. So there
Okay.
is the voice AI for the audio of what people can hear. So
Mhm.
there's that component, but there's also the tone of voice, the style of the writing, the words and language that it uses. Everybody kind of speaks differently. Everybody writes differently, uses different types of language. And what you want to make sure is that it's representing you and your brand appropriately.
Right.
What's really cool about some of these AI tools, especially like ChatGPT, is you can feed it information in your style of writing and voice so it can kind of mimic how you typically would speak. So if
Ah,
you wanted the AI to output how you would typically write something, you can feed it a bunch of your previously written content. So an example is I actually have my own little pre-programmed chat with ChatGPT where I fed it a bunch of my email history. What it did is it went through and read all of my emails, not all of them, but
uh-huh.
a bunch of them to kind of see how I typically communicate. I also fed it a bunch of my blog articles that I had written. So it can kind of start seeing and understanding how I typically speak and write, the language that I use, the metaphors that I like to reference, stuff like
So
that.
the prompt that you might use is pretend that you're Nick Fisher
Correct.
and
Yeah.
all that you know and all that you know about me. Uh, and then give a Nick Fisher response. So I've got to go back to this voice response. I've got clients that use virtual assistants in the Philippines or some other country where there are a lot of VAs, and they use them to answer their phone off hours or weekends or things like that. And they can do that for relatively little money. And what you're saying to me is that AI, voice recognition and response, is so advanced now that you can have an AI program that would have a conversation, a voice conversation, and understand what the person is saying and then respond to them correctly. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. Lots of businesses have this in place today, and you might not even know it. You might have actually spoken to one and not even realize. It's gotten so good that it sounds like you're talking to a human.
I've seen a couple different customer service phone numbers that I've made. I've made calls and they said I can recognize full sentences and I can respond, but I wasn't confused. Maybe I've been tricked and I just didn't know it. That person was awfully nice and very helpful and had a sweet voice. Uh, so, um, let's say that somebody wanted some help. Somebody's listening to this and they think, hey, if I could do this, I mean, if Noel can do it at age 76, maybe I need Nick and ChiroBasics to help me. How would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would suggest just hitting up our website. We have a lot of great information about all of this stuff, plus all the other digital things that you might need support with. If you want to chat with me directly or someone from our team, we have a calendar on there. You can just book a call with us. We're happy to answer any questions, provide any guidance, even if you're not a client. We're really just here to support the community. So technology is ever changing and it's hard to keep up sometimes. So we're here to try to bridge that gap for practices and be a resource.
You know, it's my experience with chiropractors, and people ask me what I do. And I say, well, chiropractors are typically wonderful chiropractors. They love chiropractic, they love their patients, they love their community, but they're challenged on everything that they haven't been trained on. Putting together a team, running the business, doing the marketing, and to not have a marketing expert as a resource really doesn't make any sense to me. So let me ask you, do you have a case from the files, Nick Fischer success stories? Maybe it's somebody who added X number of new patients over a short period of time and was just absolutely blown away with what happened to him and for him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, our program is designed to be pretty extensive. It's very cohesive and in depth. We have tons of case studies, several of them on our website if you wanted to check them out, or if any doctor was interested in seeing some of that. We have practices that we work from the startup phase that haven't even opened their doors yet, all the way to the seasoned multi-doc, multi-location facilities. And we have programs kind of really designed to fit wherever you're at in practice. and it works across the board. Marketing with a good strategy will always help the practice in the long run. So yeah, if you're interested in hearing some testimonials, we got a bunch of them on our website from other offices that have done well, and lots of case studies that people can review to kind of see where they were at, what we did, and how it ended up impacting their practice.
So somebody's listening to or watching the video or listening to this podcast, and they like what they hear. What would be the cherry that you would put on top of this for that doc?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would say that a lot of offices, if you're actually interested in doing marketing or promoting the practice, be a little weary of a lot of agencies out there that do bad stuff and make false promises and false claims. You just got to be a little careful. I'm sure a lot of chiropractors have been burned with bad marketing teams in the past, and it's an uphill battle for us. We're just trying to set the right tone and expectations that marketing is a true strategic long-term program. It's not, there's not going to be like an overnight easy path to victory. There's no get rich quick schemes in marketing. So be careful of little promises, focus on what's going to set your practice up for success 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 5 years from now, and how you can really dominate your market. I feel that our program does a really good job of that, and focusing on the long-term vision of the practice and where you want to be, not next month, but what your practice is going to look like in the future and how well you can dominate your market.
Got it. Nick, thank you so much. I learned a bunch. I'm still processing right now. I hope that I can get into a conversation with one of these AI voice response things and see how it works. So, hey, I want to thank you for joining me today. Give your website one more time, please.
Yeah, it's just ChiroBasics.com. Basics is spelled with an X at the end. So BASIX.com. You can get a hold of us there if you'd like.
Okay, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.